All right, let's just dive right into this explainer. Today, we're looking at a deeply effective, highly technical framework from Neuro-linguistic Programming, known as the 9 well-formed conditions. Basically, this is a robust checklist designed to make sure your goals are not just pipe dreams, but deeply motivating and completely achievable. If you've ever set an ambitious goal on January 1st, only to find your motivation completely fizzling out by the time February rolls around, well, you're going to want to pay very close attention to these 9 steps. Look, we all know the old corporate standard of SMART goals. You know, the acronym: specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and timed. It's a great discipline as far as it goes. But think about it. How many perfectly smart weight loss or financial goals have you set in the past, only to completely abandon them a month later? Ask yourself why they sometimes still fail to get us across the finish line, even when we have a strict deadline and a highly realistic target in place. The crucial point here is that traditional SMART goals usually lack sensory-specific information, and they completely miss the mark on intrinsic, deep-rooted motivation. A vague goal like, I want to be thinner, sure, it's technically measurable, but it's fundamentally insufficient. Your brain literally doesn't know what to do with that. I mean, you might be satisfied just being a pound lighter. Neuro-linguistic programming, or NLP, provides a much smarter way forward. It actually forces you to use all your senses to design a goal, upgrading it to something exact and sensory-rich. Something like, I want to weigh 12 stone, feel completely energized when I wake up, and comfortably fit into my favorite clothes. See the difference? So, here is our roadmap for today's explainer. 1. Smarter than SMART goals. 2. The well-formed conditions checklist. 3. Positive intentions and evidence. 4. Specifics, control, and resources. 5. The ecology check. And 6. Taking the first step. Okay, Section 1, Smarter than SMART goals. When we look at core literature, like Neuro-linguistic Programming for Dummies, we see a really profound shift in how human achievement is viewed. NLP moves us away from those vague, ambiguous targets and into what they call well-formed outcomes. This isn't just about scribbling a target on a piece of paper. It's about fundamentally aligning your brain's neurological programming with your deepest desires. It turns abstract wishes into a concrete roadmap that your subconscious can actually follow. And here's exactly how we pull that off. Well-formedness conditions are simply a set of parameters for expressing and thinking about an outcome so that it is both achievable and verifiable. Put simply, these 9 conditions form a powerful multi-step technical checklist that fine-tunes your desires. They force you to look at the exact sensory and contextual reality of crossing that finish line, making absolutely sure that nothing is left to chance or vague interpretation. Moving right along to Section 2, the well-formed conditions checklist. This 9-step blueprint forces you to really dig into the complex hows, whys, and wherefores of your desired outcome. Is it stated in the positive? Is it self-initiated? Is it ecological? Running your goals through these 9 specific filters guarantees that you actually understand your true motives. It allows you to clearly define that massive gap between the state you currently occupy right now and the state you actually want to reach. All right, Section 3, Positive Intentions and Evidence. So the very first condition of the 9 asks what you want, absolutely not what you want to avoid. Stating, I want a gross salary of 50,000 pounds or I want to improve my cash flow is incredibly specific and way more motivating than saying, I don't want debt or I don't want to stay in this job. Here is the psychological secret behind this. When you say what you don't want, your brain actually has to process the negative concept just to understand the sentence, which inadvertently focuses all your mental energy right back on the exact problem you were trying to escape. Crazy, right? This brilliantly illustrates that whole concept. As the physicist and movement pioneer Moshe Feldenkrais said, anytime words alone stop you doing what is important to you, change the words. Why is framing your goal in the positive so critical? Because in NLP, your language directly dictates your neurological programming and ultimately your physical actions. You absolutely must point your internal compass toward a desired state, not away from an undesired one. Now, once you state it positively, you need an evidence procedure. This is another massive pillar of our 9 conditions. You have to measure progress by asking yourself, how will I actually know when I have achieved this outcome? What exactly are you going to see, hear, or feel? For example, if your goal is a new car, the evidence isn't just a number and a bank balance. It's the smell of the fresh leather, the rumble of the engine, the physical feeling of your hands gripping the steering wheel. It's that sensory confirmation that proves you are making real progress.
Next up, Section 4, Specifics, Control, and Resources. Moving down the checklist, you are required to clearly define the context of your goal. You can't just want something in general. You need to ask, where specifically do you want this? When exactly do you want it? And with whom? You might want to increase productivity, but maybe only in certain departments. Or you might want to buy a house, but only if interest rates hit a specific point. If you don't define the exact context, you literally won't even recognize the right opportunity when it finally drops in your lap. Then, to make sure the goal is self-initiated and entirely within your control, you need to run it through what's called the PAW process. P-A-W. First, possibility. Do you genuinely believe this outcome is possible in the real world? Second, ability. Do you currently have the skills to do it, or can you realistically learn them? And finally, worthiness. Do you believe you actually deserve to achieve it? That last one is huge. If you have a subconscious mental block on any of these three, your goal is going to stall out completely. You have to believe you are worthy of the whole shebang. Which brings us to Section 5, the ecology check. This is maybe the most unique condition of the 9, the ecology check. It's essentially the process of examining your hidden motives. It asks the really tough questions to ensure your goal fits safely and ethically within the larger system of your life, without blowing up other vital areas like your physical health or your personal relationships. For instance, ensuring a desire for wealth stems from a positive place, like wanting to build security and help your family, rather than being some stressful, fear-driven reaction to a poverty-stricken childhood. In NLP, if the motive is toxic, the achievement will be toxic too. So what happens if your ecology check uncovers some red flags? What if the PAW process reveals that you secretly don't feel worthy? Well, don't panic. Just embrace this core, incredibly comforting NLP principle. There's no such thing as failure, only feedback. This isn't a sign to just give up. It's just valuable data. If a goal is out of alignment, you use that feedback to simply adjust, tweak, and refine your outcome until it fits perfectly with your values and your life. And finally, Section 6, taking the first step. Listen, no matter how clearly you define your outcome, no matter how perfectly you contextualize it, and no matter how ecologically sound it is, absolutely nothing is going to happen until you initiate momentum. The final condition of our 9-step checklist forces you right out of your head and into the real world by asking you to identify the very first immediate physical step you need to take. Without this critical spark, everything else we've talked about is just, well, highly organized daydreaming. So, having run your desires through these 9 well-formed conditions, making them positive, sensory, evidence-based, specific, and ecological, you now have a goal that is neurologically primed for success. I'm going to leave you with this one final provocative thought to kickstart your journey today. Based on the well-formed outcome you're building in your mind right this very second, what is your very first step?